If you're looking for ways of how to start your fundraising appeal letter, well, stay tuned because I'm going to give you some ideas of ways that you can grab your audience right when they first start reading that letter so that they'll want to read the whole letter. It'll be simple, but you know how things are sometimes simple, but they're just not easy. And I use my decades of experience not only writing fundraising appeal letters, but editing nonprofits' fundraising appeal letters. Number one thing I want you to think about when you start your letter is, how have you accomplished your mission this year? Have you accomplished your mission by who received funds from your organization? Did you give scholarships? Did you feed the hungry? Did you house the people who didn't have housing? Did you help kids learn how to participate in art projects? Did you provide some type of musical? Something. What was it you did to accomplish your mission this year? And so that is your story. Your story show examples of how your organization made a difference, how your organization had an impact. So what that looks like is there's some story about an individual, not a group. We relate to individuals better. We don't relate to a group of people. And then making that story vivid and emotional impact on that person. We want somebody to be listening to that story and be able to say, oh, I know, I've done that before, I felt like that before, or I know somebody who did that before, or I saw somebody, or I heard a story about somebody. So we want it to be about an individual. So even though it's about an individual that benefited from your program, the story needs to be donor-centric. So you couldn't have helped that individual if there wasn't a donor who had given you money. And then you need to show, not tell. Show the story. Have it be emotional. Have the person feel that story. And so what we need to be sure as we're doing that is that we are capturing the person reading the letter. I'll give you some examples here in just a minute of ways to actually start that letter, but let's talk about first ways that you don't want to start your letter. Don't begin with statistics. I don't care how great your statistics are. We as people do not relate to a statistic. We relate to an individual. We relate to an individual story. Don't start off with, we need your help. We're struggling. We've had a bad year. We haven't gotten the donations we need. That does not hook somebody. It's just like when you read a story in the newspaper or you see something on TV. You'll watch it if it grabs your attention. We need your help. We're struggling. Those are not ways to begin your letter. And we don't want to begin it either with, we've got a problem. We need you to solve our problem. Now, we may need you as a donor to help solve the problem of who we serve, but we don't need you to solve our problem. And then be sure that your letter doesn't start off with things all bunnies and bows and roses and puppies, because then what the donor thinks is, oh, they've got it handled. They don't need my gift. They don't need my donation. And I learned this lesson firsthand. I was working for an organization where we had built a new building, and it was a health professions building where it trained health professionals. And so there was all of this new high-tech equipment, CT machines and MRI machines, and the building was gorgeous. The artwork was gorgeous. All this great technical equipment. So I would take donors through that building, and I would just see this look come over their face like, you've got this handled. You don't need my money. So I learned a valuable lesson. I took them through that building still because we were proud of it, and we were still raising money for that building, even though they had moved in. I took them through a building that was dilapidated. It had not been touched since the 1960s. So when they left that building, they were like, oh, you really do need help. So we need to be sure that we frame this story in the way that we start our letter so that it will grab the person's attention in a good way to make them want to read the letter. And there was a study done a few years ago where they sent out two different letters. They sent out one with a happy kid's picture right at the very beginning of the letter. They sent another one out where there was a child who you could tell was needing some assistance. The child looked very sad. They found the letter with the sad child raised so much more money than the letter with the happy child. Now, at the end of your letter, you could have a picture of the happy kid with their family or the puppy or whatever. But don't do it at the beginning, because in people's minds, it's that you have everything solved. Okay, so let's talk about beginnings of some of the letters that I've written or that I've seen written that I thought were really good openings to the letters. The Veiled Valley is a world-class community that you call home. Now, imagine your community without the name of the nonprofit. You would not have outstanding. Okay, so they put me in this story that I'm part of this. Here's another one. Thanks to you, 2,362 children have a bright and beautiful new school to attend this year. On behalf of all kids, thank you for creating this incredible educational opportunity in their lives. So they're thanking all of their donors to start off with, and then they go on and tell the story about one of these kids. Here's another one. February 14th, 1994 started out like any other day for Joanne. That was until she visited her doctor, where she received devastating news. Joanne was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Being diagnosed with MS resulted in a chain of events that caused Joanne to wonder if she could even go on living. She separated from her husband, had to medically retire from her career, and lost the ability to walk. And it continued on. But notice how that story started with a date that Joanne found out this devastating news, and asking these people, how did we change your life? How did we make a difference for you? Here's another one. I never imagined my family would be called upon for the emergency services of this hospital twice in the same summer. The first incident took place so you see how that goes. Okay, well, let me tell you about at least one that didn't go well. It starts off with, every day we impact our special community by adhering to our mission as a nonprofit that seeks to enhance and sustain the quality of life in X area by providing leadership in the blank. Okay, so here's the reason that doesn't work. First off, I don't see myself in this story. Second off, listen to how they started. Every day we impact our special community by adhering to our mission. You see how it's all about the nonprofit? So after you write your opening, I want you to go back and read it. And I want you to circle every you that is in there, and then go back with a different color pen and circle everything that's I, we, us, or our. You want a very high percentage of the word you in that letter. So you need to start off with the you as the forefront. Okay, that is how we start our appeal letters. I've given you some examples here. If you want to see more of these videos, please subscribe to the YouTube video, and you'll see how I talk about the whole appeal letter, the end of the appeal letter, how to write a thank you letter. I encompass all of those, but you have to subscribe to be able to get those. So thanks for joining me today.